what happens. Yay! Hello, hello. My name is Vanya, and I am YATL Live based here in Atlanta. And I'm here with two of my favorite people, Cami Garcia and Danielle Paige. Hi, ladies. Welcome. Thanks for doing this with me today. This is such like a treat.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So I would love for those that will be watching this and might not be familiar with who you are in your books, which is hard to imagine, but it's possible. I would love for you guys to introduce your projects and what you're working on.
Danielle, go ahead on.
Oh, okay. So I'm Danielle Paige. I wrote Dorothy Must Die. It's a series about an evil Dorothy and another girl who lands in Oz and has to fight her. It's really fun. And then I wrote Stealing Snow, which is a Snow Queen book. And there's going to be a sequel eventually. And I'm working on a Fairy Godmother origin story now. And I have comics. So I did Mirror Tiebreaker, which is Aquaman's girlfriend story. And The Ravens is coming out in January, which is the Shorty Witch book with Cass Morgan. And I have an Archie comic coming out and whenever comic book stores are ready for it. So, which is super teen. It's Betty story.
Girl, you've been busy. You've been busy.
Yeah.
Kimmy, what about you?
So I'm the shorter half of Beautiful Creatures, which I wrote with Margaret Stoll, my BC partner in crime. I have the Beautiful Creatures and Dangerous Creatures series with Margie, and then I have the Legion series with myself, which for all of you fans, I am gonna do book 3. My publisher didn't do it, so I'm figuring it out. Otherwise, I get like lots of, like, when are you going to write book 3? And then I have an X-Files book, which is called X-Files Agent of Chaos. And I have 2 contemporary standalones, The Lovely Reckless and Broken Beautiful Hearts. And then I also have comics. What is on my screen? I have Teen Titans Raven also with DC, and I have Teen Titans Beast Boy coming out the very beginning of September. And I also have an adult comic that's comes out bi-monthly. It's called Joker Harley Criminal Sanity, and that is not YA. No. It's a dark procedural kind of crime story.
You've been busy too, girl, especially with like the Joker stuff. Like I know you've been working so hard on it. And because it's like bi-monthly, right? Bi-monthly?
Oh yeah. But I write monthly. Like, so I have to be ahead of the artist, so I do a script a month, which is fast.
And how long is that going on for?
There are 8 issues, and right now the 4th issue and a special edition. The fourth issue just came out. So the special will come out in, I believe this just coming out at the beginning of May, so it will come out in July. And then there are 8 regular issues plus a special, so 9 altogether. So it will go on for much longer than I'm writing it. I'll be done soon. I only have 2 more issues to write.
You're so funny.
I'm so proud of you. It's so good, Cami.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so dark. It's so good. So we'll get a little bit more into your comic book stuff, but I would love to know, because Cami knows I dabble in writing and try to write. And I'm also kind of trying to work on a graphic novel. So what was it like for you guys to go from writing novels to writing graphic novels?
For me, I started out as a scriptwriter anyway. I used to write on soaps, so I wrote for Guiding Light and Days of Our Lives. And it was like going back to that, honestly, but with having an artist instead of having actors. And it was amazing. Like, I love writing dialogue. It was so much fun. I have to say that script writing is a more natural medium for me. Like, I love writing books, but they're so hard. Like, they're fun, but they're hard and there's so much work. So writing this was just like a gift. It was really just fun. And also to get to write for DC Comics, like, just my little kid self is like, I almost said a bad word,
Dream come true, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it was really natural for me too, because I also find writing books really hard. A lot of writers love to write a first draft, and I am the opposite. I like to have all the words down and then mess around with it. So the actual like writing of a draft is kind of like bloodletting. It's really, Vanya, because you've stayed with me when this was going on before. It's like miserable. um I really love dialogue. I love action and plot and like kind of the romantic beats. So for me, writing scripts is very natural also, because
Yeah.
it's the things I like best. And I also really like collaborating because I started writing with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've always enjoyed working with somebody else more than working by myself. And your artist is like a collaborator because you're kind of your co-author. And so you get things back all the time, and there's like a give and take that I missed when I write by myself, because it feels very lonely where Danielle or one of my friends will read it, but it's like, months and months and months before I send something to my editor. So if you're kind of a procrastinator with like ADD like me, it's really easy to just hang out in your house and not do your work.
Well, especially right now, I imagine it's that much harder, so at least like if you're working on like a graphic novel, you have someone to be like, in a way, like held accountable, because I know during quarantine is super difficult. So do you guys have any tips like right now for those that are trying to work or get graphic novels done or any kind of writing? What are your tips for trying to get into that?
Do you want to go first?
Okay, so for me, I think it depends on what you're writing. If you're trying to do graphic novels, obviously, I think it's really important to read comics, to read graphic novels. A lot of writers, regardless of what genre you want to write in or what medium, are on Twitter. So if you follow your favorite writers, even if, I follow Stephen King, he doesn't hang out with me on Twitter, but it's like you can follow anyone you want. And a lot of writers, we post things like this when we're doing interviews, we put tips up. And I also think it's helpful because, when I was a teacher for 17 years before I became a writer. And I think for a lot of people, when you don't start as a writer, you have this kind of, image that writers are, in their house, kind of like Stephen King, like him and Stephen King and Neil Gaiman are like anomalies, or they can just write so much and everything turns out amazing. But I think that you assume that like all of us are in our house and like the muse comes and the magical fairy dust sprinkles on us and like the genius flows out of us. And that is, at least not for me, not how it happens. So I think it's great to go online because you get to see, I post things like, pictures of ice cream tubs and like floor littered with like crumpled up paper, so people can see that it's like just as hard for me as it is for someone, who's starting out. And sometimes, Margie always says it's easier to write for love than money.
Yeah.
But it's also easy to write when you don't have a lot of fans that you love and you really want to make sure you do a good job for. So I kind of feel that pressure where I want to make sure that they're going to really like what I'm doing. So the self-doubt like comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have any fairy pixie dust either, but I do write for money as well as love, in the sense that like it keeps you accountable. Like you
Yeah.
know that someone's waiting for something, and they have really, you don't get paid if you don't turn the thing in. So for me, like writing for soaps back in the day, I had a script due every single freaking week, and I had to turn it in, or they couldn't do a show. So that's kind of still in me. And in terms of tips, I'd say that I believe so much in like, taking walks, which is harder to do now, and like calling friends. Like I believe, which is something I learned really late in my career. I mean, working in soaps in the beginning meant that I always had an editor or writers to bounce off of because it was part of the job. But when I started writing novels, I didn't talk to anybody about my work. I just, shut myself away and finished it and like did the best I could until I got further along, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to call Cami, or I'm going to call my friend. And I had another writer friend, Bonnie, who I call, and I'm like, well, this isn't working, and you talk it out. And I really believe in like phoning a friend. And I think new writers are really afraid to talk about their work, and they shut it in, and they're nervous and they're embarrassed about it, and they're not sure if it's good enough. But I think opening that door, even if you're super introverted, it really does help, because you're putting it out there and you're talking to someone, and sometimes you fix your own problem just by saying the story out loud. And
totally
other
true.
times, like Cammie's like, Danielle, what the are you doing? Like, it's just that, and you're done. And it's like, why did I spend like the last 2 weeks, like, knocking my head against the wall? So I feel like it's just like anything else, like talking to a friend really, and a friend who reads or writes would be helpful.
Yeah.
But or no story, like it really does. It gives you someone to bounce off of.
Yeah.
That's amazing. No, it's totally true. So what we've learned is butt in chair, just get it done, and it's okay. It's hard, but also like find friends to help you out because it is such a lonely thing.
It is.
Vanya, what are you writing?
What am I writing?
Yeah.
Well, so right now I'm actually querying a graphic novel. I pitch it as Spice Girls in Space.
Oh my God, I want to read that.
I know. Hopefully. And then I'm working on a fantasy, weird elemental magic sort of book that we'll see if it gets done soon. But I'm at home, so that's the thing. It's like I don't really have a job right now, so I'm treating this as my new job, not getting paid.
Oh, you guys, I just tweeted the wrong link. I apparently tweeted the link that allows people to try to join our thing, but join our booth. So I'm going to retweet real quick while we're talking. Sorry about that. I was trying to be helpful, but I'm not allowed to multitask, apparently.
You're fine. I don't even see anyone trying to get in here, so it's fine.
Well, Zoraida Cordova just told us that Danielle, you just did something wrong. So thank you, Z.
Thanks, Zoraida. I can always trust on her to fix things.
She is on top of her social media, and she's such a good person and friend, and read all of her shit.
No, it's totally.
I did it personally. Sorry, guys.
You're right. Yay! But this is going to be lives forever on the YouTube, so people can watch it anytime. But anyone that is watching, if you guys have questions, send them over here or wherever it is in the chat and or below, whatever, and send us some questions. I'm totally turned around on the screen. So speaking of graphic novels, because I like I said, I've been writing, I've been trying to figure this out, but I know there's a lot that are trying to get in this as well. So what was the most surprising thing that you learned as you started working on these graphic novels?
I didn't know that you had to figure out what the panels were. It was very upsetting for me. And Cammie had to talk me through it. Basically, you have a page in every little square. You have to describe what happens to your artist, or they don't know what to do. I thought someone just magically did that for you, and that is not true. So, so that was a big deal for me. And then I think it was just about figuring out your rhythm, how much can fit in the panel, and because of soaps, I think I actually kind of write in that rhythm what a scene is, but you need to be aware of that. And you also need to be aware of kind of not having people just be talking heads. So if you can find an action for them to do, so they're not just staring into each other's eyes in every panel.
Or staring into your eyes like this.
Yes.
Hold on. Alex, can you get the dogs? It sounds like they're trying to rob a bank.
Oh,
sorry. The dogs are scratching at the door with wild fever to try to get out of my room. But they bark too much if I let them out when I'm doing this. So, I think I was surprised by how much fun it was, just because I thought it would be super hard to learn. Now, periodicals, doing the bi-monthly, that's a nightmare. That is a whole thing to learn. That is not the same. Yeah. But writing a graphic novel for me, because I like writing scripts and dialogue and stuff, was really fun, because it's kind of just a book where someone's gonna help make it come to life and do all this amazing art that's part of the story. So I was kind of more nervous about it being really difficult, and I was really surprised by how much I loved doing it. Yeah. Just that it was kind of all the parts of writing a book that I like, and none of the parts I don't like transitions and getting people from one place to another. Yeah. I just want them to appear at the next place. I don't want to write about how they get there.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I just remember writing because I came the other way around. I honestly, when I wrote my first book, I just remember turning it into my editor, and she was like, "This is great dialogue, but where are they, and what are they wearing, and what do they look like?" And these are her questions. It was oh yeah, so no one's gonna do that for me. There's no casting director. There's no, you know. So, and I really want to say again that our artists are just so amazing. Mine is Stephen Byrne. He just draws beautifully. He does Wonder Twins, and he's doing something else right now that's exciting that I don't think he's announced yet. But I mean, you're a partner with this person who makes it come alive. It's not just you, which is like it's so much fun.
Yeah. Did you ever have like any scenes where the artist came back and were like, I have an idea of how to do this a little better?
I get that a lot with Joker because Gabriel Piccolo, who's my artist for Raven and Beast Boy in the Teen Titans series, he was a professional artist, but he had not done a graphic novel for a company before. He had just was doing one online. So we were learning a lot of things together, but the two guys who work with me, Jason Badauer and Miko Sion, who are my Joker artists, they're way more experienced than me. And my colorist, like Annette Kwok, all of them, everyone on the project is more experienced than me. So a lot of times Jason does what's called breakdowns, which are like quick sketches of what things are going to look like. And sometimes I'll write things and he'll write back and say, okay, here's the sequence. I think we should be looking from above instead because we'll be able to see blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I have no idea what he's saying. I'm like, that sounds awesome. Because they're always right, you know, or I'll write. I remember the first time I saw Miko send a page. He does grayscale and his work is incredible, very detailed. But like I had kind of described a scene from one angle and he sent it back. And I realized like the angle he did it, you could see the whole crime scene and it was way cooler and like more immediate. So they know all these tricks I don't know. But one of the fun things is like since they're really great guys, they explain things to me. And my editor, Christy Quinn, is very experienced. She's been doing this for like 30 years or I think 20. This is her 20th year at DC. So she, you know, like she'll just, if I say I don't understand what anyone's talking about, she'll be like, okay, you know, here's what even things like I didn't understand the way you know, what the distribution was like and when, you know, when the comics come out, because with a graphic novel, it's like a book. It arrives at the comic book store on a specific Wednesday, and then it's in the bookstore the next week, and it's just out. But there's all these other factors that play in. So
that's cool.
It's much harder. It's really fun and challenging, but I mean, graphic novels feels more like kind of what I know how to do instinctively. But I love telling an adult story because you can't really do detailed serial killer stuff in YA.
No, you can't.
You can, but I don't know that would be popular.
I don't know if it's a good idea for that. Yeah, but,
I agree.
For me, and I love your Harley. I think it's so great to see Harley portrayed in this way where she is not just the girl in the underpants. Like she is so powerful and has such a reason for doing what she's doing. I think it's so great.
Thank you.
For me, I'd say that Steven had this great way of finding all the details that I would not have thought of. Like Mira takes place at the beginning of it's underwater. She grows up in Zebel, which is this colony that's in opposition to Atlantis, which is Aquaman's homeland, basically, or underwater land. And she decides to go and kill him because she wants to take over the throne. But so while she's underwater, though, there's all these details that Steven found that I didn't think about. Like she's drinking something, so she's got this like a cup with a dome over it, like just like the little tiny things he found. And also, I think we just really had a good rapport because when we were reviewed for it, like there were all these things like Danielle Paige did this great job at doing X, and it's like, but no, Steven did that. He added that detail of there's a scene where she's dressing up because they wanted her to find her own clothes when she got to land, and he gets credit for doing she puts on fins because it's just funny, and he and it's just like that kind of thing was all him, and I love that we had that rapport.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Wow. I had no idea. I read it and I was like, this is so cool. And that's a good idea. So sadly, we're all a bit under quarantine right now. And so some events are canceled. In fact, probably all events are canceled. But with con season that would have been happening just right about now, what is your favorite con experience memory?
I met Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You win.
No, I mean, I was at Comic-Con the year before last, and it was before the movie came out. And they did like a Q&A and a signing with them, and Jim Lee literally like got me in to just to meet him and Amber, and they were so nice. And he'd never seen the art before because it's the only portrayal of him in a book that looks like him. They've done like it's him as a kid, and we actually based the drawings off of Jason when he was on Baywatch, which I recommend everyone look up because it's beautiful as he is now. But like,
or you can just see it in Mira because just like that.
But no, you need to do the comparison so you see how well Stephen drew him, and he's adorable. It's really like I really fought hard to have him look like Jason in the book, and the books are out of continuity, so we can actually do that because he's normally a blonde kid that's like super cute too. But I really wanted him to look like Jason, so I got to show Jason, and he was like, "That's me." He was happy. It was really cool, and I have a picture of it somewhere, which I can repost honestly. But it was really just a fun moment, and I also got to go to the Aquaman premiere later in the year, and that was also a blast. So
fancy. That is cool. You win.
It was very cool.
Amy, what about you?
Hold on, this is real life. Nick, turn that off, please. Sorry.
Hi,
this is what doing events in quarantine is like. So I have a couple. Danielle was with me actually when we did New York Comic Con before Raven came. No, right after I think the advanced readers had come out for Raven, but like not everyone had read it, or it might have been before it was out. We went to the. It might have been before. We went to the Titans premiere for the show, the DCU show, and Marv Wolfman was there, who's the creator of Raven and Starfire and Cyborg and Nightwing. So it was really cool to talk to him about, kind of what I was doing and, how I felt about the characters, because he's such a nice person. And he knew that these were out of continuity and that I was going to be doing kind of, instead of doing like, a story about like uber powerful teen girl, in mine, it's more about her figuring out what her powers are and her past and piecing all that together and doing like real kind of teen girl things, meeting boys and going to dances and like having regular problems. So obviously that's not, totally superhero-esque. So I wasn't sure if he would like that, but he was really cool. And then we also met Tegan Croft, who plays Raven in the show. And I took my picture with her. Danielle made me. It was really embarrassing. She went over and was like, "Will you take the picture?" But it was super sweet because when the book came out, she liked it and she gave it a quote and she took a picture with it and stuff. But it was cute because usually Raven is portrayed as either, on the page or as like a cartoon character in shows. So you don't get to like hang out with Raven, but it was cool to hang out with her. And I also at Montreal Comic Con years ago, I met Spike from Buffy. James Marsters, and Buffy's like my favorite. That was like your Jason Momoa experience. Like it was really cool because he looks exactly like Spike and he sounded like Spike. He did like all the voice for me. It was really fun. That's what cons are like. It's like all the people who like the things you like, and everyone's usually really happy and excited to be there, and that's what's fun about them.
Yeah. And after the Titans premiere, we were accidentally at the after party thing. That's how we sat with Tom King, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah,
and Cammy did. Yeah, he was.
Well, I did when he said he was Tom King. I had never seen him.
I didn't know what a Tom King was.
So I was like sitting across from him and Josh Williamson, and I didn't know, like he didn't say his name at first, so I wasn't sure who they were, and then when he said his name, I knew who he was, obviously.
I did not. I had a whole dinner with him, and I was like, "So, will you write comics again? Like, what is that? Like, it was." And he's talking about Eisner Awards and stuff. He writes Batman.
So Danielle was like her true self.
Yeah, I really was. Like, how old are your kids? Like, it was just a totally normal dinner for me.
But it was fun too because they were telling us all kinds of different things they'd written. Josh writes a Flash, and so we got to hear all their how to write weekly comics kind of stories and everything. It was fun.
Yeah. I bet that is really interesting to kind of like hear the stories of like pros in the industry and, you know, kind of like pick their brain a little bit. So that's awesome.
It's intimidating too, because like sometimes, you know, some of them, you know, are so fast and everything. So I try to like remember that a lot of them are much more experienced, because otherwise when you hear how quickly they can like do a script, it's horrifying.
No,
I don't know
but
how I want to know.
yeah, I mean, for me, I'm fast with scripts and slower with books. I totally, yeah, I get the speed thing, but I bet are getting faster and faster.
I'm
What's your
faster
first
than
favorite?
I am with a book for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, like people who do weekly comics do like a script a week, which like you did with soaps, and that's a fast turnaround.
Yeah, that's a lot. Anything you guys are reading and loving or watching, binging and loving?
Oh God, I'm on deadline, so it's this is not my best reading week. I have Veronica Roth's Chosen Ones on my bedside table, and I haven't read it yet. It's like haunting me. I have the Suzanne Collins is in the mail. It might be downstairs right now.
Mine too. I'm waiting.
That is. I can. It's like it said like Wednesday delivery. Like why isn't it here yet?
Correct.
I want to read, I don't want it because I will stay up all night to read it because that's who I am. I'm like a kid about those
Yeah.
books. I am so excited about that. And then watching Westworld, I thought was brilliant this year. I was not like I thought it was just like it was so female empowered, like just like kick ass. Like it was what we've been waiting for. I thought the finale like could have been better, but I really thought the season was so strong. And just if you love sci-fi and you love and like tough women, like it was just Tessa Thompson, Thandie Newton, Evan Rachel Wood. They were just killing it. I really thought it was great.
Yeah, if you guys have not been watching Westworld, I don't know what you're doing, but drop everything and go watch it. It's so good. I didn't love the second season as much. I like the beginning and the ending. A lot of the middle was whatever.
I
But
think they were just figuring it out, right? Yeah.
The season was fantastic. Kami, what about you?
Watching many things. I watch a lot of TV, especially like now that I can't go to the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm watching Snowpiercer, which I love. I loved the movie, and now there's a show, so I just started watching the show. I binged all of Ozark already.
I have to watch that.
I binged Dead to You, which I liked a lot, which was like fun, kind of again, like empowering like two best friends, two women, you know, very often, you know, casting men aside, which I thought was fun. I'm excited. I haven't watched yet, but I want to watch Vagrant Queens because our friend Miko Tamaki wrote the comic. So I really want to watch that one. Reading, I've been reading I just read Strange Adventures, which is Tom King, Mitch Gerrits, and Doc Shaner. And it's about Adam Strange, and it's really like it's beautiful. So I'm reading that one, and it's not done yet. So I started reading it. I think 2 issues are out so far. I also read Joker Killer Smile, which I loved. It's on the same line My Joker Harley is. And Harley's not even in that one. It focuses on Joker and his psychiatrist, who's a man, and kind of like what his effect is on his psychiatrist. And it's done by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, who's one of my favorite artists of all times. So like that one's really cool because it's almost, I mean, the art's amazing, but it's like, it's really a character study. It's really interesting. And I feel like sometimes in comics, you just see like a lot of action and not as much kind of like dialogue, and the dialogue is smart and the art is really interesting. It's a great, like Danielle was saying, it's really hard sometimes when there's a lot of conversation in a comic. Like when people are talking, it's hard to figure out what to do with them. And it was a great example of like, you know, they're doing interviews and stuff where they're in a room and you would think that the art would be really boring. And Andrea made it so cool. He had all these like tricks that just made it really interesting to look at. So it was like a cool study. I also, what else am I reading? I just got Mooncakes, which is younger, but it's supposed to be amazing. And I like to
It's
read.
Wendy's, right? Wendy.
And and I love to read younger graphic novels because when people read something like Raven, I will like to be able to recommend other things. I loved I read Shadow of the Batgirl, which my friend Sarah Kuhn wrote, which is
So good.
Asian Batgirl with her like auntie and making her own Batgirl costume, which was my favorite part of the entire book. It was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
see, that's my favorite part, I think, about like I loved like Spider-Man Homecoming. Like I love movies and
Oh, me too.
comics. Yeah, where you get to see like the superhero becoming a superhero or and being kind of a regular, not just a superhero. And that was a great example of one, kind of like Mira and Raven, where their origin stories.
And
Um,
you should tell us about Beast Boy too.
so Raven, so Beast, my series, their origin stories. So Raven, Beast Boy is not like she's not a Titan yet. She's on her own. She's a foster kid, and she's had the same foster mom who's like her mother since she was a baby. And her foster mom dies in an accident, and she goes to live in New Orleans with her foster mom's sister and her new foster sister Max, who is her age. And it's a very diverse book. My kids are half Cuban, and I get, I feel like there are not enough brown people in general in all books, but certainly, like, someone who was a teacher, I want to see more of them in comics and in illustrated work so kids can really, like, physically look at something and see themselves. So it's very diverse, and
Oh, of course.
Gabriel's Brazilian, so we have, like, he did all kinds of cool biracial characters. And then Beast Boy is about Gar, who is in a small town in Atlanta, maybe near you, Vanya. And he's in kind of a town where it's really boring, and you go to school with the same people forever. And he's kind of like a funny kid, but he really wants to be popular. He's not bullied or anything. Like he has friends, but he wants to be like a cool kid. And he really goes on kind of a journey which also involves him kind of coming into his powers, where he has to figure out, like, what is he willing to do to be popular, like how far is he willing to go. um what's the difference between like people laughing at you and people laughing with you, like what are kind of the trade-offs of things like that. And also, like, are these popular kids that he wants to hang out with, like, are they really as cool as he thinks they are? So I think a lot of times we think, even as adults, like we pick out who we think the cool people are, and we think they're amazing and kind of larger than life. And sometimes we look out and you meet those people and they are, but sometimes you meet them and they're not. And they're not very nice, or they're not as cool and smart as you thought they were. And it's a disappointment.
Yeah. That's awesome. So DC has some really awesome stuff down the pipeline. What is the graphic novel you're most excited to get your hands on and read?
Oh my gosh.
Arden's Zatanna. We want that one. Elisa's.
Yes, I'm trying to think of what's announced. So our friend Elise Arden has one with called Zatanna, and it's really gorgeous. I mean, we've seen it, and we've seen kind of the art ahead of it's with Jacqueline De Leon, who hasn't done a graphic novel before, but is also a professional illustrator, and her work is gorgeous. Yeah. And it's really, I mean, for me, I think it's also really fun to see people like Jacqueline and Gabriel, who haven't done graphic novels before, get a chance to show their stuff. Mm-hmm. And so it's fun to see like another woman, break into comics. There's so many. There's a couple that I'm not sure if they're announced yet, so I'm not going to say. I don't want to get in trouble.
I can't remember the name of it. The one where it's like based on the radio play.
Are you talking about Gene Yang's?
Yes.
Superman Smashes the Klan.
Yeah, I want that one.
Mm-hmm. I have that one, but I haven't read it yet.
You have it? I want it.
I've read part of it. The part I read was amazing.
But I want it.
So I read most of that one before. Then I was like late on something, so I had to stop. But it was, I mean, everything he writes is so good.
Yeah.
But I got to sit next to him on a panel, and he was like, I didn't know about it yet, and he told like the story of it. It was like so blown away. So I want to.
And also, I love another one like for readers that are younger is Meg Cabot did Black Canary Ignite with Cara
So adorable.
McGee, and it's smart. Like everything Meg writes, but like again, Cara made her look so cool and adorable, and I think like it's one of those books that even if you're a teen and you're not like a tween, you would still like it because it's a great story and the art is
Yeah,
so
and
good.
it's gorgeous, and like it's like that idea that like people are always telling girls to be quiet, and like what if your superpower is your voice? I think it's so cool.
Yeah. And Meg said that was her superpower. When she was in school, she always got in trouble for talking too much. So I like being loud.
It's
So I like
it's still
that.
her superpower. She's still like wonderfully loud.
I love it.
And
I'm
also,
super excited for Wonder Woman by Laurie House Anderson, the new one that's coming out. Looks really amazing.
it's
So
going to
that's
be so good. I just saw those
I'm
preview
excited for
pages that
that.
went up.
yeah, it's amazing.
And
So
then I'm also excited. I haven't read it yet, but I ordered it. Nick Stone did Shuri from Black Panther.
Oh, I want
And
to read that.
I really want to read that because I've read every book I've read of Nick's I love.
So good.
And I can imagine her writing a very empowering, badass teen superhero.
Yes.
So I want to read that one.
I'm excited. So what is next for you?
Me?
For me,
Both of you.
Kimmy,
What's next?
Mine, well, I'm doing the next Teen Titans, but I can't say what it is because it's top secret. And I'm hoping they'll announce it this summer because it really stresses me out when I do interviews to try to make sure I don't talk about it by accident. And I'm finishing Joker. And then I also can't say what it is, but because basically when you're doing a graphic novel, the writer, you're done way before the artist. So like I will be done writing the book I'm working on now, like the end of the summer easily. And Gabriel will still be working for like 6-7 more months. Like he works with, it takes a lot longer to do the art. So I'm actually doing another YA for DC after that hasn't been announced. So I can't say who it is or what it is, but I'm super excited about it. I feel like people who are my readers that know my work they will see that this is a character that's very good for me to be writing.
Totally. It's very you though. It's perfect. I'm so excited for that one. You haven't even sent me. I want to read the treatment. You never sent it to me.
Oh, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I want to read it. For me, I'm doing I also have a couple of DC things in the works that I'm super excited about, a YA thing and a grown-up thing that I can't believe I get to do. Then I've got Sorority Witches which is called The Ravens with Cass Morgan, which I'm excited about. That comes out in January. Hopefully it's done. And then we're working on Ravens 2 right now. Fairy Godmother origin story, which I don't know what it's going to be called, because no one wants that to be the title. But if you guys have any title suggestions, I swear I need a title. Cammy, call me. And Archie Comics, I'm doing Super Teen. It's Betty as a superhero and Veronica as a villain, and it's a one shot, but hopefully people will love it and there will be more of them. And I feel like I'm leaving something out, but I can't remember.
You just said Veronica's a villain, and I'm like, sign me up. I'm ready.
That whole line is great. Like Danielle's like, that's totally for her. She'll be a natural, but that like all the ones in that line are really good.
They're beautiful too. And Brittany Williams is my artist. She's fabulous. She does Sabrina too, which I love. I watched Sabrina the Witch, Teenage Witch, and I love losing my voice finally. and I love Riverdale. Like, and if you look at my Twitter, it's insane how much I love Riverdale. So.
Well, ladies, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm super excited for everything that's coming down the line from you both. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I'm sure we'll have you guys on again to talk about the new stuff when it comes out. But any last words you have for readers before I let you go?
I just want to say thank you, Vanya. It's so good to see your face. It came
on
you. And also, just everybody out there, I know this is such a tough time. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you guys are all doing okay and just like hang in there. I can't wait for us all to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're like, for people who are on their own, or, I suffer from depression and anxiety, like if you feel like you're just like having a bad day, there's a lot. If you follow me and Danielle and lots of writers and creators on Instagram and Twitter, a lot of them are trying to talk about our experiences, so you're not alone. And also, I post lots of cute animal photos, like, which is not something I normally do, but now I feel like baby otters are incredibly important in my daily activities. So I just think there's a lot of like, try to connect virtually with people if you're on your own, so that you aren't just like watching or watch things like this where it's live, so you feel like you're with other people and you're not just like watching, limit the news.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna second that, because I want to say that, like, one my phone a friend thing for books, like, use it right now for life. Like, honestly, I try to call someone that I haven't talked to in a long time at least once or twice a week, because I feel like and think of like your friends who are by themselves right now and give them a call. And I know sometimes it's embarrassing because you haven't reached out for a while, but this is a good time. Everyone's home. Like, just reach out and people will be happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
Totally.
And don't be afraid to cut out things that don't make you feel good, like the news. Like Tammy said, the news gives a lot of people anxiety. I know it gives me anxiety. So cut it out. And do what makes you happy, even if that is, binge watching TV all day. Totally okay. Totally okay. Well, ladies, it was a pleasure. I adore you. I love you. And I can't wait to, read your next stuff, because it's
We love you too.
I want to read myself in the face. Like, send it to me.
Yeah, I want to read it.
All right.
Send it to both of us.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Bye, ladies.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.